What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here and welcome to a new album review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the latest album from the band Black Midi, entitled Hellfire. This is the band's third album in their discography, released after the reception of the critically acclaimed album of Cavalcade, which was an album that I was really impressed with, and it became one of my favorite albums of 21. This is the third album in their release of albums through Rough Trade Records, and I will have to say this is a UK-based band with some of the most catastrophic, brutal, intensifying sounds with their own craft, because these guys are a UK-based jazz fusion, prog, experimental, variety sounding band. And with that being said, Hellfire is without question, in my own words, one of the strongest albums to have been released this year and a contender for one of my favorite albums in this new decade. The trio themselves have really done themselves proud here, because there's no other band that I can really think of in this sort of direction of experimentalism that I can say has been hugely prolific and as ferociously blasting out awesome than Black Midi. I could really go on about this band because they've been getting a lot of attention and acclaim for many reasons, and if you have not discovered Hellfire yet, you need to check out this band and this album, although this is not for the faint of heart, and if you are into that uncomfortable feeling that you just can't digest everything in this band's path, then you have been warned. The first track on the album, opening track Hellfire, dramatic opening on marching drums and scary chord hits in like a thriller type of movie sound. Very fast lyric playing from the speed and bringing a lot of intensity as it was increasing this wild array of noise and uncomfortable tension, which then immediately leads into the second track, Sugar Tzu, which opens things in the sound of a wrestling match, but it musically eases into this classic sound of jazz from the saxophones to the guitar chords, because they were beautifully placed in with the vocals that they sounded so delicate. And then the freak-out ability of musicianship just blasts you through your face, because I find it to be very strong from its power and progression. And what I love a lot about this track is the quick ascending part of notes that follow each other that sounds so bombastic with fantastic yet aggressive tight sound and playing. This is a wonderful ride from a mentally crazy state of the instrumentation. Eat Men Eat is a monstrously crazy song on the adventurous styles, and this moves along with the acoustic guitars to make a difference in tone vocally as well, but it's very rhythmic on a lot of these places altogether in the verses. A separate character to it and diversity. There's a lot of these fusions with some more of that jazz fusion flavor, which to me it does make something really attractive, but switching things into a mellow tone at some points did remind me on a bit of like an avant-garde type of presentation from this writing. Welcome to Hell is one of the album's highlights. This is a movement of sound that's got to be in, to me, a vibe like on a Mr. Bungle debut first album era. The repetitive guitar lines go along into the disturbing nature on this vicious arrangement of spoken word applying. That does work, has a difference on behavior, and this is all complementing piece after piece all together in this jazz rock sound, and the playing was driving from the guitar and the drums. It's mentally unstable from the actions, the bashing sound and powerful trumpet sounds to complex textures of madness. I cannot stress this enough, but this is some really intense roller coaster. Still is a song that I do love a lot on this record. This is another highlight on the album for me. This abruptly changes into this country sound, but it's so desired into its own melody. This is a brilliant vibe to calm down after the material from earlier on in the album. A stunning sense of imagination and world on its own. Vocally is on like a lower explorative register, something like on what Mike Patton will achieve, because on the sound of the voice box, and musically incorporates noises onto some more instruments like the piano to acoustic guitars once again, hand claps in between. Halftime is basically a very small interlude piece, noisy music, concrete styles of experimentalism in like a parody of a radio, which was a very clever idea to make it as an interlude that way. And this opens next into the next track of another strong song. The race is about to begin. This is a big, really vicious number as it moves in many places into, again, the drums to the guitars. The bass on this song sounded huge. The vocals is one of the best parts about it. It follows along this fast style later on as the destruction gets harder, faster, punishing, and it's just as great when it goes from loud to softer. It does that over and over and over with a lot of repetition, breaking and destroying shit all over this monster of a track. The lead guitar lines following the vocal lines to the accordion appearance at some points is just wonderful. It's delicate to erupting, gorgeous to shattering. So this is one of the best tracks that Black Midi has ever done and executed. I appreciate the band so much by making these soundscapes and whirling around in atmosphere and production. Domination of a track. Dangerous liaisons. Great soft playing into the guitar lines that sound stellar. The cymbals were touching at the beginning of the song, melodic side, again with the return on lower vocal registers. It's like at a separate character and setting. This type of rhythm weirdly is I guess polyrhythmic, but I could be wrong about that. This mellow out and colourful type of beautiful sound of music, and it does have a separate feeling on its emotion. And The Defense is another one. The next track is one of the other stunning songs on this acoustic flavor. Slide guitar that pops into this mix on this gentle expression. The drumming was fantastic, by the way, onto looping this beat more and more and more as it was so consistently driven. And I find that the vocals were dramatic and beautifully well sung. The music to the song was comforting and easy. Feels like an artistic finale into its mood. 27 Questions, the last track, is, to me, weirdly, the more I listen to this, it's kind of like on a late 60s to early 70s Zappa / Mothers of Invention sound, like from their heyday in this psychedelic direction. The fills on percussive and wacky drumming sounded awesome, and just these inaudible notes were so over the top. But the last half of this track just stops so abruptly and then moves into this poppy texture, which is an instant switch up, brass notes and other sound of music to make this big climax from start to finish. There's a lot to really look into the lyrics because they are based in these separate fictional characters, terrific lyrical ideas, and that's what I do appreciate a lot about Black Midi. Like with bands such as Pink Floyd to King Crimson, that they do have a sense of approach to paint something in music, but to make a lot more detail in lyrics. Black Midi is one of the best examples of that. Overall, Hellfire by Black Midi. What can I personally say about this album? This is the best album the band has ever done to date in this discography, and this production as well is absolutely one of my top favorites from a lot of new albums that I had listened to so far in this year. Hellfire does have this gorgeous, crisp mix from everything that has been going on from beginning to end. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think of this album in the comments down below. I'm going to give Hellfire by Black Midi a 9 out of 10. This is easily one of my top 10 favorite records of the year. This is something that was so monumental, and this optimism was very strong. So many great ideas in their plate and drawing boards. I am so happy that Black Midi are back in their own magical wonders and world. So you need to dive into this record as soon as you can. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.